We're live here Sunday night, the normal live thing that we do. If you were with us yesterday, as so many of you were, we did the Trump Rogan interview. That was tremendous. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on our live show tonight. A couple other small things we're going to talk about. Tim Walz and AOC played Madden, because why not? We're going to talk about YouTube removing our content during that live stream. I think that's important to talk about. We're just going to get into all the things. We got the election coming very soon here. We're going to be doing our election live stream too. But yeah, it's coming. It's coming soon, Ryan. It's coming fast. So, do you have anything to say to all of our followers before we get going?
Happy Sunday. Fuck it, we go live. Go Bills. And for everybody that tuned in for the Trump pod yesterday, I really appreciate it. Dave and I always get pumped up behind the scenes when we see people just tuning in. So thanks everybody as always.
It was our most live watched show, so we really appreciate all of you showing up for that. However, I got beef with one of you. There was a comment on there about the smoke detector. I just want everyone to know that we read our comments and we do our live streams. They said to change the battery in your smoke detector because it's beeping. Here, you ready? There's your battery. Okay, there. How do you feel about that? Okay, now we can do the show. I don't want anyone getting upset that there's a beep going off. We do. We reread our comments. And we respond to our live chat, so everyone should get in on the live. We will respond back to you. Maybe Captain Smoke Detector. That was smoke and carbon monoxide detection I just disabled for the show, just so you know. I could die now, and I will do it to keep all of you satisfied with our content.
Thank you, Mr. Fire Marshal 729 in the comment section.
Fucking Fire Marshal.
Cold Summer and Fire Marshal are getting together, David.
You know what's funny? I think somebody mentioned that before in the past, and I went, oh yeah, I probably should do something about that. It still worked. It just made the occasional beep, just a test beep, just to remind you.
It's just becoming more chronic now, David, because you're past like the 7-year window to replace the fucking thing.
Fuck it. Smoke detection, carbon monoxide detection.
The batteries are internal, so when it burns out, you just buy a new one. Like my cell phone? That's weird.
No, it's a good quality 9 volt. You just rip that bitch right out.
The volts don't matter. It's just volts literally.
But see, Ryan, that's
a volt is a unit of measurement. David,
I don't know
foot and inches.
I don't know if we need to get into this on this show, Ryan.
10,000 watt light bulb that puts out the fucking 10 million lumens. Glad you put candles next to each other. Let's go.
I don't know. It might be marketing or something. I don't know why they market it as volts. What would you want to market it as? Amps?
Oh, they're all different things. They're called something because they.
So you want to market it as a 9 volt 2 ohm.
You don't market it as a 9 volt. It holds 9 volts of electrons.
But if I were to walk up to somebody on the street,
because you can measure
battery, they know what I mean.
Yes, but they don't know what 9 volts means.
It doesn't matter. They know
because
it
doesn't
though. But
it's a 9 volt battery the same as a AA battery, David.
I don't know how many volts are in a AA battery.
See, now it's not relevant. See what I'm saying? Need the 12 volt AA batteries.
I don't know what you want from the battery companies, Ryan. I don't know what you want. They've tried.
This reminds me of Metric.
They tried calling it AA's, AAA's. They tried referring to the volts. They tried using DCs. A bunny. I don't know what you want from these people. I just need a battery.
They tried rechargeable ones, but then they had to come out with new rechargeable technology for the old rechargeable batteries. It just becomes messy.
There's lithium, there's ion. Energizer for a while had the little thing.
There's lithium, there's ion, there's lithium ion.
You'd hold the button, it would tell you how charged your battery was.
Yeah, that was
useful technology. Ryan, this is a political show. I don't think this isn't. If you want to go start your electricity show on Rumble, you go for it.
You started the show with electricity, David.
Because we had a comment. Somebody was very upset with our.
All right, David. This isn't a therapy podcast.
Situation.
You can start a therapy podcast on Rumble.
Well, let's get into therapy because we did Trump and Rogan yesterday, and YouTube. Let's get into therapy, Ryan. Let's do this. YouTube removed our video live during the show. I was paying attention. I got an alert that the video was removed. I was allowed to appeal. So very thankful to that, YouTube. They did respond quickly within a half hour and deny the appeal. So that's great. At least there's a process to that. I'm just going to say it, Ryan. We said it during the live stream, but I'm just going to say it. That's election interference. We were live streaming a potential presidential, a potential president, a presidential candidate who was on Rogan talking about politics. This is a guy that many people are going to be voting for within 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks, but November 5th, right? Next week? No, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Nailed it. They removed all of that information.
Broadcasted for free, David. How much money does it cost to watch Joe Rogan? Besides an internet connection, something to stream it on.
Well, it's free. You don't have to subscribe to Rogan. You don't have to pay for it's not backwall content.
Most accessible information there is.
It wasn't a copyright strike.
Joe Rogan wasn't copyrighting us.
So
did they say community guidelines, or was it actual?
Yes, it's considered a community guideline strike, but it was that's where it gets weird because it's not a strike. This is where shit in YouTube land gets fucking weird. It's not a strike, but they removed the content.
I thought they only removed contents with strikes.
Well, it was a violation of community guidelines, so they were allowed to remove the content, right?
And not give a strike.
But don't worry, I could have watched a training video, so that would have helped.
The whole
thing's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
If you watched a training video, you'd be able to keep the video up, or they would just
no. It's still.
So why watch the training video?
Well, so I know how to not do it again.
But if I do it again, you still pull the video.
Right? Yeah, they'll take it down. I wonder do you think they're
this literally reminds me of the Boston Massacre, David?
Let's get into prediction time. Do you think they're going to do that when we do the election live stream? We're going to be streaming third-party content. I'm going to have the news and whatever else up as we're reacting live to what's going on. That's third-party content.
How does Facebook even say they're a private company when they're on everybody's cell phone? I don't understand this. Name another private company that's in everybody's pocket, because it doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, that's Apple and Android.
They're the same thing. They're all one company.
Ron, what was your that was my quick beef with YouTube, and it's been nothing but beef with YouTube, and that's why we're here on Rumble. So
thank you, Rumble. We're gonna tear them down brick by brick, literally. I will do it with Rumble fucking, sponsorship on my back on a t-shirt. Gladly take apart the building with my bare hands. When nobody's in it, and of course YouTube, while you're all on vacation in your golden parachute Hawaii townhouses that you burnt down the city so that you could build it. So
maybe we should just be doing this on maybe we should try it on Facebook, because he's a libertarian now.
That's weird, ain't it? Make all your money being one thing, and then you're like, well, kind of like this.
I don't.
Oh, so you're just a fence sitter, David. Maybe Zuckerberg's trying to have kids.
Here's the thing.
That's why he's a libertarian all of a sudden.
Here's the thing, and I'm not saying I believe it by any means. I'm not saying I believe it. But here's a thought about the Facebook thing. Mark Zuckerberg went in to creating Facebook non-politically. It was just a social media if you want to call it an experiment.
It's for college kids. It's college kids to cheat on their boyfriends.
Which maybe.
Let's call it what it is.
Maybe. He's a nerd.
A dating app.
He's a nerd. He created a social media platform because he didn't have friends. You want to call it what it is. That's what it is. He was a nerd who had no friends and wanted to have friends. So he did everything digitally. And then Facebook grew and expanded. And as politics grew into everything else, all these people had to get in line and make a decision. So it is conceivable and it is possible that Mark Zuckerberg never was left-wing. And as politics grew into him, he sort of had to navigate his way through this. I don't know. It's possible that he's a libertarian now, but
You
I
were
would love to see
raised
it.
one thing, grew into another.
I'd love to see it though. Like let's
Kind of
see
how
some
like Joe
action.
Rogan was almost left on everything and then interviews Donald Trump to help him get elected.
I don't know, because like Zuckerberg, realistically, and I'm trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but Zuckerberg truly was left in a position that was difficult. And I'm it's not that I like Mark Zuckerberg, so this isn't necessarily me defending him. This is just me exploring possibilities. So it is possible that Mark Zuckerberg went in apolitical, was put in a situation during the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop story, where the FBI, now keep in mind, I'm a non-political guy, right? I'm just trying to create this scenario that makes sense. I'm a non-political guy. The FBI comes up to me and Ryan, of course, would say, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want on my platform. But this is a non-political guy, right? Mark Zuckerberg. The FBI comes in and says, hey, keep in mind, there's all this Russian information coming out. You're a normal, everyday person saying, okay, maybe. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be swaying elections, right? With Russian information. So yeah, we'll ban that. We're gonna fall in line based on the information of the intelligence agencies, right? We're gonna get in, fall in line. The Hunter Biden laptop story, nope, can't have that. Oh, better censor the speech. That's a Russian bot. Nope, can't have that. And then to now, let's talk now. Look back and see everything that happened because of Elon Musk with the Twitter files, where now we know that the FBI had open platforms and they were telling all these platforms that, these stories can't be allowed and you must censor this person, you must censor that person, to now know that the FBI and the CIA were covering up stories that were real. That very well could make you a libertarian. I'm saying that scenario might have made him libertarian. He might have been apolitical, turned into a libertarian, seeing now what he has seen.
Well, I almost wonder it too if it's like Jordan Peterson always he would say things about the metrics used to measure the social sciences. Like
what metrics are
extrovert,
those?
like the big 5 characteristic of personality traits like extroversion, introversion, neuroticism, orderly, agreeableness, disagreeableness. Those aren't really, you can't measure agreeableness, right? But like the early people that started the process of creating the systems necessary to measure the systems came from like mathematics and engineering. So they were like no fluff kind of guys already. They were like, well, what's the data say? And that's what we do, right? They don't care about politics like what you're describing. And I wonder if, and what did by default, what happens is they basically, the other thing was Google made a book about like how women's sexual fantasies translate down to like 4 categories, and it's werewolf, billionaire, doctor, and pirate. Real? Yeah, it's called A Billion Wicked Thoughts or something. It's a book.
Werewolf,
yeah, pirate. Fuck it, look it up. It's funny.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, this is a.
Yeah, fuck it. It's fine. I'm just saying it is relevant because Mark Zuckerberg is not dumb, and he is dorky. And like, look at Elon. Like a lot of these people, they say they're like more on the spectrum than others. And the point is, I wonder if Mark Zuckerberg is just so dialed into the facts that he's just like not a no nonsense guy, but just like all right, man, like I'm just here to make an experience. And as he did get more and more data, he just naturally was like, well, this is kind of fucked up. A billion wicked thoughts, a million wicked thoughts. It should be made by like Google analysts that they compile like all the search data on Google around women's sexual fantasies or something. Now, this could be a chapter in this book for all I know. I've just heard of.
I'm not entirely sure what to search here. I'm definitely not.
No, look up the book, A Million Wicked Thoughts or something.
The world's largest experiment reveals about human desire. Billion wicked thoughts. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. This book's on sex in the 21st century. What was the summary? It's right there. It was their first drop-down tab.
A Billion Wicked Thoughts, What the Internet Tells Us About Sexual Relationships, explores the differences in male and female sexuality human desire and attraction through extensive research into mountains of data provided by online searches. That's interesting.
Algorithm. The AI is writing books now, David.
So they explored the algorithm to get that as a window into human psyche.
Yeah, and this goes back to the people that even care to do this. They don't actually care, right? Like the people that the people writing the book care about human desire and sexuality, but the people that write the computer software that allows that search to even take place. You know what I'm trying to say, Dave? Like the guy that writes the code for the computer does not care about sexuality of people generally. He's just like, I'm good at making computer code. I make $100 million, whatever the fuck it is. And then the byproduct of that is that there's this powerful search engine that can be tied into studying human psychology. And to back engineer this, like I said, I don't know if you could even type it in as far as their sexual fantasies in that book in particular. But if I'm not mistaken, it's like billionaire, werewolf, doctor, playboy or something. You know, it's like 4 or 5 archetypes. Pirate was in there. Yeah, it might just be hard to find. Obviously, if it would be easy to fucking look up, there'd be no point for the book.
Okay, so
that's not what I'm just basically saying is like the people that are at the tippy tops of these organizations are too fucking. It's like ingrained in their personality to just, that's why Elon comes off as based, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, Elon!" So no, he's not based. He's just like super specially retarded. Like he's not like doing it. He's not like doing it to be like, oh my god, the whole like he definitely does troll. But like the reason the guy even believes that is just like that's his makeup as a person. Like he's naturally more like that than he's not. But I don't know. Maybe you're right, Dave. The Zuckerberg thing. How do we get here? The Zuckerberg thing in general.
Well, the Zuckerberg being apolitical and then potentially being turned into libertarian. And I don't. That's just a theory. I mean, I don't know for sure. Maybe he was libertarian the whole time.
What the fuck's libertarian mean anymore when people that just say like that there's 2 sexes are now called right wing?
Well, here's another thing that's, I don't know, maybe this is possible. I have no idea. Do you think
at this point anything but tyranny is libertarian? I mean, Orwell said there's only authoritarian and libertarian.
Do you think it's possible that somebody who was weak-willed could become strong-willed? Because maybe
TRT.
Maybe Marx. Well, hold on, because great point, honestly. Because to that point, what have we heard about Zuckerberg recently? He's gotten into Taekwondo or fucking MMA or whatever the fuck he got into, and he's out surfing and doing all types of shit. So I don't know. Maybe he was like we said, some introverted dork with no friends who wanted to create a social media site, and as he got rich, got all the friends from his social media site and his money and all that, then he became more extroverted over time, and then he started doing things outside of his comfort zone like surfing and fucking MMA. And now as you do MMA, your testosterone's flowing a little bit, and maybe you become strong-willed. I don't know, is that a second theory that's very possible?
What, that like experience makes you a better person?
I'd like to apologize, by the way, before we get blown up in the comment sections. The furnace is going in my house, so if you can hear that in the background, I don't want anybody. I probably won't rip my furnace apart at live.
Come on, that's the strategy, David.
Can't win. You can't win, everybody. I'm sorry.
Yo, imagine that guy sitting in his house and all of his are going off at once, and he's like,
that guy's house is fucking on fire, guaranteed. He's like, I fucking hate smoke alarms.
Yeah, he's the guy that doesn't have any because his house burned down 20 years ago. That didn't matter. Didn't wake me up. Yeah, to double back on Zuckerberg, that's very interesting, David, that like you always hear about stuff like therapy's not good and all these things, like don't eat meat. But like all these people at the tippy top, they all work out, they all like travel, they all have low stress, they all eat super healthy.
Well, this could almost double back to my other theory too. Whereas if you want to not be depressed, you don't reach out to somebody who's depressed how to fix it. You reach out to somebody who's not depressed.
A master of non-depression, David.
So maybe he was an introverted nerd with low T, and he started hanging out with other people who were extroverted with friends, high T, And I don't, then next thing you know, he's coming out. He's saying Donald Trump's assassination attempt was badass and pro-America, and he's a libertarian. And I don't know. I don't know what to make of Zuckerberg. I think it's possible.
Dude, he's only got to accept Jesus at this point, and he is a fucking symbolic 360.
It is very
unless he's
possible.
the Antichrist with that fucking
creepy
ass, a little coat he had.
Yeah, he's a lizard person. I don't know. I don't know what to say about.
He's a Rockefeller Pond, David. Of course.
I could come up with a million theories about Mark Zuckerberg, and most of them will sound plausible. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm looking to see action from him. But what I do know is YouTube I have no faith in YouTube. I might have a little bit of faith in Facebook, not really that much, but I have no faith in YouTube. So when I see them,
are you like 1 3/4 foot out, like 7 apples out of 10? David, would you believe in the X?
It's tough, man. I believe in Elon Musk more and more every day, but I don't know. I was kind of down on Linda Yaccarino, and there's been some moments in the past where I've not been a fan, but overall, I guess I would say I'm pleasantly surprised.
8 out of 10 apples, David.
I'd give it 8 out of 10 apples. Rumble's full 10 out of 10. I have full confidence in Rumble.
Except for that fucking screen share.
Okay. They're getting better. The tech is getting better, but as far as my
sign up for Rumble Premium, people. That's
absolutely.
the only way we can.
As far as my belief in the leadership at Rumble, it's 10 out of 10. I know these people have our backs. 100%. They've told countries to get fucked. Like the amount of balls it takes as a small platform to tell like a government to fuck yourself is amazing. So Rumble 10 out of 10 for sure. X I'd probably give a solid 8 out of 10. It's not bad. It's not bad.
There might be 7 red apples, 1 green apple.
I think if I were to get blocked or not blocked, but if I were to get banned on something or whatever, X we should do this. We should do this one day. We should rate our social medias. Faith in social media by the Dave and Ryan scale. Rumble's a 10 out of 10. X is an 8, solid, respectable. And then I don't think anyone's close.
YouTube's a 0. Negative 1.
YouTube has
negative
to be
100.
YouTube has to be low. Twitch is the same way.
Dave, what do you get from people when you tell them that you have interfered in a foreign election?
A lot of people laugh.
Yeah, they laugh. Like, I don't think they understand what that means, though. You know, like,
because how? That's the thing, though. Like, how believable is it that like we interfered in a foreign election? It's not believable at all. Like, what could I have possibly have? What on earth could I possibly do to fuck up New Zealand's election?
I don't know, David. They are.
Do we have anybody from New Zealand who watches?
Peter Jackson's watching right now.
I don't think so.
The director of Lord of the Rings, David?
I don't think we have a lot of New Zealand followers. I just don't. Maybe we do. Maybe we have like a good hand. Maybe all of them are from New Zealand. I have no idea.
All 7 of you. Dave's got 7 computers running in the background right now.
No, absolutely. I can't do that.
Yeah, your internet can barely handle your. All right.
I don't know.
I bring up the foreign election thing because, you know, when you first meet like a new person and you like, I know, it's like you see something political. I'm always the one to say something like, yeah, can't wait for Trump to win. Something like that, like, and then I wait to see what they say. And then like I always end up getting on the program because, of course, David, you got to selfishly plug your shit. Like this is a greatest podcast, human history. And the Donald Trump on Rogan is a close second, David. But I also looked on Rogan's YouTube, and Bob Lazar, his most watched podcast is the one about fucking aliens.
Dude, the Bob Lazar podcast, it is incredible though.
It's the Bob Lazar with the other guy.
You did miss out too. Speaking of, you had to leave a little bit early.
I caught the part of the clip.
They slowly started to get into aliens. Trump's not taking it off the table. He's not saying he believes, but he's not saying it's ridiculous. Is that real?
That's tremendous.
Bob Lazar beat Donald Trump?
Oh, I mean, it's an older podcast. I mean, when I just checked Trump's Trump had 70 million, I think, today.
Holy shit, are you serious?
30 million today. But when I looked the other day, he had like 20 million or 25 million. He was along like Cat Williams. Because if you go to Rogan, right, and then you click popular, it will sort it by the most viewed. But Trump's like in his top 10. I mean, Russell Brand was in there. Elon's in there. Like the top 3 are Bob Lazar, Elon. I don't think the Alex Jones one's on there. Oh, you're just pulling up. I like this. 17 million subs.
Which is Bob Lazar, 61 million views. Edward Snowden, Elon Musk, Alex Jones, and Tim Dillon.
But Trump outpaced that, 27 million. What's Trump at right now?
Trump's at 31 million, and it was a day ago.
Okay.
All of these 9 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 years ago. 1 day ago. 31
not
million.
Popular. Definitely not a popular president, David.
Yeah, we're in the minority. Nobody likes the guy.
The most subscribed guy, billions of hours of content streamed a day of his content monthly.
He is almost listened to person on after
Earth.
A day.
Yeah, because right there, he's gonna beat Musk at some point. There's gonna be 3 million people watching.
Cat Williams
beat out Graham Hancock. Like these are his most powerful. Kanye beat Kanye. Joey Diaz, he crushed Joey.
The Leo Remini one was interesting because weren't they talking about
going clear? Yeah, 17 million right there. He like helped bring down fucking Scientology with that podcast.
Post Malone. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was a good podcast.
Mike Tyson.
Robert Downey Jr.
You know who I'm surprised isn't up there?
Who?
Zack Snyder. What's that actor's name? His name totally escaped me. He was an actor / musician. He was talking about all those wild theories. Neil deGrasse Tyson called him out, said it's all bullshit. He's saying he has all these patents. Fuck, I can't remember his name.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. Yeah.
Oh, they might have pulled that. I don't even know if that's allowed on the internet.
Dude, if they pull, he had 2, didn't he?
Yeah.
Although I will say that was
one by himself, and then he had one with Brett Weinstein and him. But they're newer. That was they're within a year.
That's true. Oh, there's Terrence Howard there 5 months ago. 10 million. 10 million.
10 million. That's pretty good.
That's the original one. Wow.
Yeah. So Trump is what? Rogan's 5th most watched podcast?
No, he's closing in. I think he's 8.
Well, who's got him beat?
5, 6, 7.
Yeah, but he
Randall Carlson, who I don't even know who that is. Graham Hancock.
So Edward Snowden, Musk, Edward Snowden, Bob Lazar. Who else beat him? He beat Tim Dillon
Alex Jones and Tim Dillon. No, they're higher. Oh no, they're not higher. 27.
Yeah, they're just not in order. Yeah, they're not in order.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Yeah,
okay, so he's 4.
Yeah, he's this 4th in one day.
In
one day. Because this did this on my phone too. I had to like double check the actual number.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. Why would it be out of order like that? Wow, that's crazy, dude.
In one day, minority though, not popular.
And he's only 3 million behind Musk. He's only 7 million behind the second most watched, and it's 1 day ago he did the pod.
And the most watched is Edward Snowden, a fucking terrorist to the United States government.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, proof's in the pudding. You know, for the record, I know we made a big joke about the whale therapist. But dude, I saw that in so many news articles within the last day, and I have been eating it up. Just watching the media talk about it. I have not watched or seen any other coverage about Rogan's podcast, but he did do, I'm assuming it was a fight companion with it was Rogan, Brandon Schaub, Eddie Bravo, and Brian Callen. And I caught a clip of that. It was like a 17-minute clip he had on his clip channel. And it discussed about what it was like to interview Trump, and they all talked about it. And it was very entertaining. But yeah, it was well received. I mean, this one day, Trump is the 4th most listened to person.
On the world's biggest podcast.
World's biggest podcast.
But he's not popular.
Not popular.
He's not popular. And right now, currently, they're in Madison Square Garden, and there's upwards of what was the number I saw? Hold on, let me pull this up.
And I'm going to go on record and say this again. As great as it is that Joe Rogan can do that, these people, the new gatekeepers, the Chris Williamsons and Jordan Petersons and Joe Rogans, and you guys better be picking us up, because there's going to come a day that you're not going to be able to log into your bank account, and the guy that has 50,000 subs on YouTube or Rumble is going to save the day.
Look at this shit.
94,000.
94,500. The arena has reached max capacity of 19,500. And NYPD reported 75,000 people are outside.
No buses are twerking rappers. Is it weird that there's all the... I was talking to this about my mom's boyfriend, that like all the celebrities like endorse. It's just weird.
I don't know what that's about.
It's weird.
I get it. I mean,
the optic, right? You get the optic of it as a political.
I do, yeah.
People that digest politics.
Here's where I get stuck, though. I don't know how much of it is like you could chalk it up to a few different things. So, right, like I don't know how much of it is, just Hollywood is left by nature, and I don't know how much of it is blackmail. Like, how many of these people do elites have dirt on?
Well, every actress, I'm sure, at least has some questionable photos and questionable positions of them.
You know where I don't trust? Whenever I see someone who's... I guess you could say this about Hollywood too, but I think this more about athletes for whatever reason. Whenever I see a fighter, like a hockey player, a football player, a basketball player, whenever I see someone who excelled in their sport at the highest levels, who is actively campaigning for a Democrat, I think I don't buy it. Because you can't get there by living your life like a Democrat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like Eminem had came out and supported Kamala Harris and everything, and which is fine. I don't care. And I came out famously in 2016 on my Facebook page, and I actually have an Eminem video that I told him to fuck off because he's using music to divide people. And in part of that video, I've used like a lot of his own lines against him. Like he says all the times, I sodomize your daughter's minds. And I think, oh, look, dollar signs. Like he just told you, like he fucks with your kids' heads and makes millions from it and doesn't care. Like how many things do I need to... I've heard every lyric. You'd fuck your own mom with no rubber. But this is the guy, because you have all this sway. And you have to get people that worry about nothing. Now, look, I guess I want people to vote. I just wish it wasn't because some rapper told you to. But I guess I got to take the wash where I can get the wash, because you know what, whether I'd like to admit it or not, the idea is that everybody should vote, or at least be able to vote. Not that I think they know what they're doing, or that I am the beacon of somebody that should be judging somebody on how to vote. But
everyone should legally be able to vote. It's just that not all of them should.
Yeah, and like back to
Eminem, you should be allowed to, but you probably shouldn't.
Eminem and all these rappers, like their whole stink is fuck the system. I mean, what is it not fuck the system because it's a black president that wants to defund the police and tax the rich white man? Like you're telling me we're not that stupid. Because you can make all the Pixar movies and you can make all the cartoon movies for children be all integrated and about loving everybody equally and equal representation. There's certain movies that are I know we always harp on DEI movies here. There's like Cleopatra's Black, but there is movies like what was the Pixar Elemental? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's one where they like literally fire, water, whatever.
That movie is the 60s. The 60s race war. Nothing about skin color. They just use to go Jordan Peterson route, just like Pinocchio. They use these obtuse, these fucking, this cartoon representation because they know that, once again, psychology is not important. That's just why they all study it at the top, right, David? But they know that the best way to tell stories is through these very powerful symbols that are older than men, and words like fire and water and the elements. And that's why you need to be like water. Like everything is related back to nature. So I know I'm like kind of rambling here, but Eminem's whole shtick is that he was against the system. I seen today I was watching a football game, David, go Bills. And there was a thing that Kamala said that Trump's economy is going to be for billionaires and Kamala's economy is going to be for you so that you can like afford to live again. It's like she's in power. Her ideology is in power.
Yeah,
I'm
some
not
of that comes with
I'm
it
not
has
here
to
to
come with an acknowledgement that people can't afford to live in the economy now. That she's
It's the same
actively
thing when Hillary
overseeing.
Clinton said in 2016 that yes, there's problems with Obamacare, but we're going to fix them. But when you were getting pushed Obama, this is Overton window. This is that's the fucking term for the thing that they're doing that I'm seeing in real time. People don't want to know it. They're like, it's just the way it is. No, it's not the fucking way it is. It's called Overton window. It's to get you to accept shit you wouldn't normally accept. Some would call it brainwashing or political Stockholm syndrome, David.
I know a big
Which
group of
sounds
people that call it political Stockholm syndrome now.
Yeah, political Stockholm syndrome sounds a little less politically correct, David, than Overton window, which sounds like a fucking door garage company. Instead of like a political strategy to make you accept like global slavery and eating bugs because the fucking meat heats up the earth. Where was I going with that? Sorry. Yeah, his whole thing was fight the system and all that. And now he's literally aligning himself with people that are the system, the largest government that's ever been created in the history of forever. Is
You know
gonna
what?
The people that have been oppressing, particularly black people, it was only because they were white Republicans. Only white Republicans are the oppressors, David. It's not people that have pensions and invested interest in corporate lobbyists or have their entire life tied into debt that they can't pay back unless they keep showing up to their government ran job for 30 years to pay off a mortgage, their $1 million house, and all these things they got to keep. I looked up this. I'm not going to get too crazy about this, but I looked up like my personal debt, David, and compared it to the debt of people in my state. And I'm less in debt than the average student is in the state of New York. All of my debts. Now, granted, I don't have a house, but all of my debts is less than that of people's college loans. And you know what? When I'm driving around, everybody drives a pickup truck around here recently. It seems like
That's weird.
that can't be. Not everybody can afford a brand new pickup truck, David, and actually pay to own it. Those are leased vehicles. And I bet you the leases are 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, they ain't 4 anymore. I could tell you that.
Dude, I don't know how the fuck people are. I don't have credit cards. I went through credit card debt. I used Dave Ramsey's system. I've been very open about this. This is why we actually discuss it about Dave Ramsey in particular, because his system actually helped me literally. And I've always shared it with people, especially people in our position in the world that are trying to make their way in the world, and you're shackled by things that you didn't understand when you were younger. Anyways, the point is that's why I always talk about it. But I don't have credit card debt, but I am sure most of those people at Tim Hortons drive-thru are just putting that $3 coffee on a fucking American Express card at 25% interest for the next 50 years. The Bills Stadium. They're building a brand new Bills Stadium without a dome, of course, David, even though it would only be, I don't know, a little bit more money. That stadium is going to be $1 trillion when they're done, just so you know. And they have to build the electric grid at the same time when they're building the most high-tech stadium in the state of New York's history. Yeah, it's all electric. There's going to be all these smart features. Well, that means you're going to need more electricity for this fucking thing. Nah, sorry, everybody's electricity bill is going to be more expensive for the Bill Stadium. I'm going to hear, because of the Bill Stadium here locally for the next 50 years is why we can't do funding. Well, the Bill Stadium took all the funding. I'm going to be having fucking potholes and roads, but at least my Bill Stadium's brand new. What was I saying about the? How did I get here? Sorry.
This is what would be referred to as a weave. You're weaving too much.
Yeah, too much. The Bills Stadium. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. Oh, home equity loans. People are taking out home equity loans to buy the season tickets for the Bill Stadium. So people are going to leverage their house that they're paying a mortgage on or have already paid off so that they can keep going to the Bills game every weekend for 9 games a year, 9 home games a year. They're like $10,000. But Kamala Harris wants you poor, right? Or Donald Trump's the one wanting you poor, right? Because he's giving tax breaks to rich people. But the bank will give you a home equity loan to give it to a rich person. And hey, you know who the bank is, David? A rich person. You know who the credit card company is, David? The rich person. You know who Big Pharma is, David? The rich person. You know the doctor that you want free healthcare from is? You know who he is, David? The rich person. You know the lawyer that's going to write the laws for your transgender sex change operation? You know who he is, David? A rich person. You know the police officers, David? You know who they are actually in the state of New York? They're rich people. They make $100,000 a year. The wealthiest people I know in my area have either worked for the state, are teachers, or they're in some kind of military or law enforcement. So it's like a bubble upon bubbles. But vote the one way, the biggest government ever. And listen to Eminem, the guy that told you to fight and rebel against the system because it was ran by white people and George Bush and fuck all that and mosh and push and fuck Trump. And that's fine. If you need a celebrity to make up your mind when bread is fucking $5 again, $5. David, I referenced to somebody. Oh, I got a little stink here. I'm not going to poke a thing, but a guy I work with, David, hit me with something. And he has a personal story and his family, like him and his dad were in the service, and his dad was a teacher or something. So probably well put together. He seemed well put together. Not a judgment towards him. We have different worldviews. Fine. But I brought up that I'm just an avid conspiracy theorist, and I fucking don't trust the government at all. And he's like, "What's so wrong with like the government? They're people just like you and me."
Well, that's
the
part of
problem.
what's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really hard to do this in certain scenarios, and obviously you always think about the thing you wish you could have said when you leave the scenario. But maybe like I can hammer it out here just for like a good happenstance, because you know what? I know the government isn't filled with bad people. And I understand there's good electricians and a bad. This is how he phrased it. You know, just like how there's good doctors and bad doctors, there's good politicians and bad politicians. Just how there's like good electricians, there's bad electricians too. Okay. Fine. I'll entertain. Fine, I'll entertain it. Fine, you're right. 80%. Here's the thing.
Are we thinking the same thing?
We're ran by a system that it only takes one person to make the decision for all the other people to follow. Like it's not, there isn't checks and balances.
Well, hear this out too, though. So like, there's good electricians and bad electricians. Okay, there's good doctors and bad doctors. Sure, there's good bus drivers and bad bus drivers. Good teachers, bad teachers.
They're people just like you and me, Dave.
But here's the problem. In all of those examples, the difference is the system does not reward people who are bad at what they do. In the government, there is a created
incentive.
There's an incentive to be corrupt. Because the corrupt politicians are the ones who are going to make the most money. They're the ones who are going to be the most powerful.
You would think, right, and this is the easy road we go, but like I'm even trying to still keep it in his frame of mind just for like half a second, because I'm reminded about how Tucker Carlson thought that it was all butterflies and rainbows and everything until Trump said he was spied on.
So he doesn't believe in like the corruption at all. He just thinks some of them suck at their job.
It's the Ben Shapiro. It's not House of Cards. It's Veep, guys. Here's the thing.
That's just a fundamental worldview difference at this point. Like, I don't
It is, and it's also ignorant because the thing you're forgetting is history and psychology. Now, granted, the guy I'm talking to knows history and is educated. Here's the thing. Most people aren't.
Would this guy acknowledge that in history, throughout history, there have been other corrupt governments?
They've all been corrupt.
Sure. So, like, if he's into history, he knows that, right?
Well, I reference like absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like that's the statement I say. He's like, well, they're just people. And this is where I'm going. Like the guy at WHO who said, one guy that said, no, this is what you're doing.
No, it's just a guy, though.
Yeah, well, is he a good or a bad person? It doesn't fucking matter. It don't matter. You gutted freedom. The reason I'm saying that our politicians should be hung for treason, I'm not calling for death, YouTube. This is what they agreed to. It's in the fucking document.
I'll be waiting for the email. Don't worry, Ryan.
Fuck you, UK. It's in the document you guys swore to agree to. I did not force you to go be a congressman, you fucks. Okay? You agreed to it. You'll fucking hang a you'll court-martial an admiral if he doesn't listen to direct orders, but you could just sell the interest of the people. You guys gutted freedom. It doesn't matter if you're a good or bad person. Liberty once lost is never restored. We have less freedom than our grandparents did, David. And they're the ones that built the world I walk on. And the world I walk on, I don't know the history of because I was told it's not important by the very system that says people are evil and there should be less people. But who benefits when there's less people, David? But those in charge of the less people. The problem I have with the idea that these people that are corrupt, that I believe in, let's go the conspiracy route now, the Rothschilds, prime example. Those people aren't good or bad people. The problem is, it's not that they're good or bad people. Or they have the ability to make everybody else follow their decisions. Now, some would say that that's why it's important if they are good or bad people. And I obviously can't argue with that statement, David, because obviously morality has, you would think like the better the person, the better they would be at being able to take care of everybody. This is the whole kingdom and masculinity. But I'll tell you this. I know they're the same type of people we are, but it was one of those philosophers, Friedrich Nietzsche, I think. If you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back at you. It doesn't matter if you're just a person. You will be consumed by the darkness that you look into. The Mirror of Galadriel is a prime example. She shows Frodo what will happen if he fails. She never shows him what will happen if he succeeds. The void is not there to show you the positives in the world. You don't go down to Washington, D.C., David, to find the good in people. You mean the place where they fight for civil rights and Social Security and child pedophilia? You're telling me in the very room where they've written every bill about civil war and death and domestic violence and Martin Luther King and you're telling me all that go Carl Jung here, David, collective unconscious. You're telling me all that collective energy is sitting in that room down there, right? They know. They know. That's why they go down there. You're not. It's the swamp. It was literally built in a fucking swamp, David. I know we know this, but like DC was a literal swamp. There's early pictures of the Lincoln Monument in a middle of a wetland. The place is not supposed to be inhabited. It's not supposed to have this wealth. The DC metro area compared to the outer surrounding suburbs, it's like one of the worst income inequalities in the entire nation. They even tell you, don't go like 5 blocks from the Capitol. You'll get shot. But they're just people like you and me, David. They just want to go live in the most. Look at what would that hotel look like? Where did Trump build that amazing hotel, David? It wasn't right down the street from the Capitol building, clearly.
It was beautiful.
You don't think these people want to sit in the vessels of power in the most powerful places ever and fucking tell me what I can and cannot eat and what I can and cannot drive? These people were sitting there telling me I need to wear a mask while they were out having 50. They were having orgies. But they're people like you and me, Dave. The problem is the people that get in the system has so few good people in it and few roadblocks to keep good people like the good people get voted out. They get the scandals. They get the bankruptcies. They get the false impeachments. They get the Russia hoaxes. They get the grab her by the pussies. They get the fucking cheating on Melania. They get, hey, we're going to change the statute of limitations on law so we can get you for 94 counts of something, even though it's only 2 charges. They literally altered language. I don't know. I know I'm just going in circle, but it reminds me of something that I've said before in the program, but they used to bury the wealth of this nation in the actual nation and the people. When you look at like old axes, David, and old swords from like the old, not every sword was beautiful. And I understand there's always been layers of quality, but all the old buildings, they were all made with like high levels of craftsmanship. It took time, material, everything was made of metal and silvers and gold and painted with, they're taking, instead of eating the berries, they're turning it into paint to paint a fucking statue. You know what I mean? Like, we've done that for all of human history. We have put the wealth of our nations in the hands of the people in the places that they live and visit and inhabit. Our vehicles used to be very beautiful. Granted, I do love the modern aesthetics of vehicles, but there is a certain golden era, is there not, David? Nothing beats like that 50, 60 body style on a lot of cars.
Mhm.
There's just something about them. The muscle cars there's a different apparatus, just like the hypercars is there. But there's that certain, everybody's got that one aesthetic. Like the 80s were ugly for cars. But like there's that one aesthetic that we just kind of are like we know in our bones that that's beautiful. And we always talk on the program now how they just build ugly buildings on purpose. But this all ties, I bought Twinkies today with my daughter. And I opened the Twinkie and the Twinkie looks small. Okay, like it looks small. And I was like, kid, I swear they used to be bigger when I was smaller. Now, granted, David, they literally could have actually just been bigger because I had smaller hands when I was a kid. Or the size of Twinkies shrunk because they're making me pay more to get less, like they do everything else. And I also told her that Twinkies used to be wrapped in like a silver film. It wasn't like a plastic. Like there were certain cereals that used to come in like, not tin foil, but it would be like that like it looked like tin foil, but it was like a lined like cardboard style feel. But like our bags were made not of like metal, but they would come in foil.
Twinkies used to weigh 42.5 grams and they're 38.5 now.
5 grams on a Twinkie, really?
The size change was made in the mid 2012 by the company's predecessor, likely to help with financial difficulties. I forgot about that. Who was going out of?
Yeah, they had to sell it, right? Hostess.
They were going out of business. I forgot that happened. Interesting. The new recipe also extends the shelf life from 26 days to 45 days. Now, I thought Twinkies were like nuclear holocaust food.
For those who don't know, that number printed on food is not a real thing. There's no law that has to do that. They're not even real dates. They just make them the fuck up to make you buy more food.
Apollo sold Hostess for $2.3 billion. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but they used to, and I started going even further, David. Like our buildings in the city of Buffalo, we have an old city. They're like made out of marble and stuff, and granite, and not to mention all the gold, all the copper on the outside of the building that gets patinaed and kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty. The OLV is a huge church around here in Lackawanna, and it has a copper dome on it, like hundreds of feet across, and it's fucking breathtaking. But you know, you look around and now like we're Rust Belt City, so all the factories that provided that income of wealth for people to put into their communities have kind of evaporated, and we're now like a different. But like you look around, it's like, well, what do we do with our wealth now? It gets exported up to the banks. It doesn't stay local because it used to literally stay local, right, David? Like when you would build a business at a nice place, like the shit stayed there. Like all the furniture was made to last. Everything was made to last.
Yeah, the older buildings in downtown Buffalo are absolutely breathtaking.
You know, now granted, if they're not taken care of like anything else, they fall apart and deteriorate. But this is like, I guess I've said it before, like the old ancients left the wealth of the world in their world so that if anything happened, they could literally take the building apart and fucking reuse the granite or sell the granite. They weren't just holding on to granite buildings for no reason. Because money doesn't exist, right? Gold didn't, you couldn't always have gold, but we could dismantle this building. They would take the obelisks, right? When you would conquer somebody, they would take all your valuable statues. Like why they've always been special in human history. Now we just have statues everywhere and they're ugly. But what about the old statues made of granite and copper? They're valuable. They used to be left for us because if we ever needed to melt them the fuck down, we could. They were there as a physical vestige of value. And there was no politician, there was no bank, there was nobody that could take the statue and sell it and steal it from now underneath us. Now they just refinance. Oh, the lease is up on the apartment building. But if the building was made in granite, you know what I mean? Like the wealth of Buffalo was in the actual buildings. It was not just because the bank in Buffalo had the wealth. The bank in Buffalo is built out of things that are worth money. There's a golden dome at a bank. It's laid with gold. A golden dome. How much is that worth? Probably more money than all of that bank has inside of it, David. And like, I know it sounds silly, but opening that Twinkie, that's all I thought about, dude. Like even in the 80s and 90s, David, we had glass bottles more.
Yeah,
Why?
that
Why?
was the norm.
Why? Paper bags. Everything was recyclable. Everything was made of metal. It was built to last. We could reuse it or it would last a whole generation. So we wouldn't have to, nothing was, the replaceable Insta economy didn't exist because everything wasn't made of plastic and easily replaceable. There was no film. Things were wrapped in foil. So because they were made of foil, we took care of it because foil was a reusable good. I know this sounds dumb, David. We don't think of, I'm telling you, people, these are the patterns and you don't realize. But your Twinkies were wrapped in tinfoil. They're now wrapped in a poisonous plastic. Do you remember there's the video circulating about how the Lucky Charms from nowadays aren't the same as 20 years ago? It's because we've allowed the quality, the wealth of our nation to deteriorate. And it used to be so wealthy that literally our bottles were wealthy. Do you guys realize that like your can you throw it on the ground is worth money, right? Like that's how rich we are as a nation, that our garbage is worth money. You
You
can
know, now that you
scrap.
mention it, I seem to remember cereal having a different, not like the plastic bag, like a different material bag.
Yeah, it was like almost like aluminum foil. It was like that
Yeah, kinda.
reflective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't plastic. It was like it had to be like a paper metallic mix. Right, which probably isn't really healthy either. But in the day and age of micro and nanoplastics now, look at all the plastic in our food. That shit never existed before because we used reusable things. They were made of tin and copper. They were made of paper. There was no plastic bags. Plastic Tops bags came out in our lifetime, Dave.
Wax paper, that's okay. So it was wax paper, it had a heat sealed plastic around it, but the part that touched the food was wax paper.
Yeah, it's way healthier. Now, once again, the wax probably is, it's still probably not healthy if you, the healthiest obviously is to just make the real cereal and not package it and dry that obviously, but we don't live like that. But yeah, it's better than nanoplastics. It's better than everything being able to be replaceable. Plastics to recycle.
Today's cereal bags are made from high density polyethylene, HDPE, known as plastic. HDPE is one of the easiest plastics to recycle a cereal bag. Yeah. Plastic was invented in the early 19th century, but wasn't used as much as is today, or at least since more manufacturing plants were built to make it around 1960s. The cereal was most often in paper bags, often inside of a box. Later, it went to wax paper bags before plastic.
Yeah, and you always hear it's like, oh, it's the save cost and lower the price of shipping, which obviously is valid, but it's cheaper, obviously, because once again, we used to make things of wealth. The average peon 20 years ago lived better than now simply because everything used to get milk in a glass container. I can only buy it in a plastic jug.
Well, if you go to Canada, it's in bags.
Plastic.
Sure, but a bag.
You can buy glass chocolate milk some places, but it's $10 for a gallon of milk. And there's a $4 deposit on the bottle. So what changed, David? Is there only a certain level of cows good enough to bottle their milk in glass compared to plastic? Or do we just accept a less wealthy world now? And once again, I know it sounds crazy that I'm more worried about how everybody's drinking out of plastic bottles than glass ones. But I'm telling you, we used to leave the wealth of our society in our own hands, in the products we bought, in the cars we drove, in the clothes we wore. How come a shirt lasts longer now from the 90s than shirts that are made now with better material? Sustainable clothes are going to fall apart faster, so you have to buy twice as many clothes in your lifetime. What's sustainable about buying more things, David? The sustainability is to sustain the profits of corporations that have stolen your history and the old way of thinking, like eating things out of glass, wrapping things in foil. Because believe it or not, you can ingest a small amount of metal. Like there's certain like magnesiums, and not that magnesium is a metal, but there is magnesium in some metals, right, David? You know what I mean? Like the actual I mean, we're bioelectric machines. Sodium is a salt molecule, you know, like gold and silver are actually they have microbial bacterial properties that can kill. Colloidal silver will kill. It acts like an antibiotic, and the ancients used to know this. They used to like boil silver and drink it when it would cool down or something. I don't know, but like
there's people today who eat like metal flake, gold flake in some of their foods and stuff. I think that's more for show, though.
I heard a thing that cancer can't live in an alkali system. So I know a guy personally that he worked with, a dude that used to eat baby powder, a tablespoon of baby powder every day, because he believed that was providing his system with more. If you know the pH base scale, of course you do your fucking. But that's what he was trying to balance.
The thing that's tricky about that, and the one thing
it's from the fish tanks, right? Too.
Well, sure, yeah, I know, but I know about pH balance and stuff. But the one thing that I don't know if I believe on that is that I don't know if there's a way to truly change your pH that dramatically. And the reason I say that is because your stomach is full of acid.
Well, if you couldn't change your pH, why do girls get yeast infections?
I don't know if that has to do with pH.
No, it's literally like the reason they get a yeast infection is the pH is off in their body. Right, so like the idea of like the infection.
I guess my thing is when you
fix your pH, the infection goes away.
When I see stuff like high pH water or highly alkaline water or whatever, like the first thing it's going to do is go into your system and go into your stomach, which is a very low. It's very acidic, so it has low pH.
Yeah, you're just thinking we can't alter our biology that
like
much.
I don't understand how that's going to change. Like I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but like to me, logically, I just don't see how it's possible. Unless you could change the acidity of your stomach, but then then it's not doing the things it needs to do, like break down foods.
Yeah, I guess more than anything, I just feel like they always tell us that we're a wealthier nation now, but people are more in debt, and we have products that last less. In our houses, we can't, like, that's, to me, that doesn't speak of wealth. I know we all have carpeted rooms now, and we all live like kings because all of our buildings have AC and stuff, but like the AC breaks every 5 years. Like what's really wealthy here? So I guess I think I just had one more point about this.
Plastic bottle. Wish I had glass bottles of water.
I mean, our money was backed by gold, even.
Was, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like our money used to be more valuable. There was a physical representation of our money.
And see the thing with that, and I've changed a little bit on this, but I understood why they left the gold standard initially, but now looking back, it's been such a monumental mistake.
It's probably the worst decision they ever made. I mean, they didn't. I don't think those people necessarily understood like what printing actually meant, even though they had the Gutenberg press. You know what I mean? I don't know. I got one other thing, and then I think we can get out of here. Dave, transgenderism is a problem for men, for straight men.
So, well, sure. I think it's a problem for everybody, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, as a straight guy that went out this past weekend, it's a fucking problem. It's a problem. You know, there's ways around it, you know, but I didn't hook up with a dude, Dave. That's not where the story's going. I know I cover a lot of different things on this program.
Ryan, if it was just the tip, we'll let it slide.
Here's the thing. It's like a tactical disadvantage. This is how good guys are. It's a tactical disadvantage because the average man knows what the average man finds attractive in women, so they're able to literally alter their appearance to be the ideal of that. And if you had the ideal next to a real girl, you're probably going to pick the ideal. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Like
So
just simply off your senses, not like her voice sound. I looked at her hands. She had upper. I'm not saying like if you look at a photograph and they're like, which one do you like more? And you didn't know, but you later find out. Like, I guess what I'm saying is in the day and age where they try to negate biology, the thing that they're hijacking our biology with the most is transgenderism. Because they literally know how to look just like a girl enough to go fuck straight guys. And it's flooding feeds, believe me. There's Instagram pages of girls acting like they're transgender. And there's also pages of girls being guys, whatever, transgender men fucking straight guys. So what I'm saying is, men, protect yourself. Get a girl that is naturally pretty.
what you're saying is, since men know what men want, you're going to want to shoot for 7s instead of 10s.
Yes. I mean, this is the thing. Like, you know, it kind of like if you look at women's fashion, it's getting baggier, right? And men's clothes are kind of going a little baggier now too. But it was kind of opposite. Girls used to like wear tighter clothes. Like that's where yoga pants came from. It's like the tightest thing. That's kind of skating away, dude. Boyfriend jeans are kind of back. You know, girls are like wearing the baggier hoodies and flannels now. They're kind of covering up more. So like a lot of our natural lines, not that saying we were all clad and stuff, but women used to wear dresses, right? Like we used to be more fit. And so like as these things start getting blended, like men have boobs. If you're overweight, you have boobs. And if you were to go take like you can test the fucking, like you will have like estrogen cells in your tits like a girl does. Like the fat, like the composition of that will be that of a female's boob. Like they're not, I'm not saying that we're not boys or girls or whatever, but this idea that the reason they told you that stem cells are just a clump of cells is because they know that they can fuck with you enough to make you like, we play God. They spray you with enough chemicals, they can make it rain. I wouldn't doubt it. They can turn you into a girl. Literally, they could probably alter your DNA to turn you into a girl. They have glow-in-the-dark monkeys.
They have
Right?
gay
Like,
bombs. They've turned the
yeah,
frogs
like
gay.
the glow-in-the-dark monkey isn't a monkey and a jellyfish. That's not the way we identify it. It's like, no, that monkey just glows in the dark. Like the change in the DNA code became the thing that changed the DNA code. So like tack on how like estrogen is up in women and testosterone's down in men, and men are like looking more feminine, and like the culture is encouraging men to look more feminine. They're telling girls to be more like boys and telling boys to look like girls. This is this is a design takeover. I told you guys that we're like in fight for like the humanity and stuff, and it came a lot from Alex and transgenderism and transhumanism, and is that, but like, what am I? You have hotter girls that have dicks. Girls look hotter with dicks than actual women now. Models can't keep up with men. Margot Robbie isn't as hot as like a guy that acts like a girl and dresses like a girl. Men that are playing women are more feminine than real women.
I want to clip this out of context so bad. Because I believe somewhere in there was the quote, "Women are hotter with dicks."
There's hotter women with dicks.
There's hotter women with dicks.
But, and I'll say this personally, that I went out as Halloween and I thought it was just a dude being like a cosplay female. No. They had OnlyFans and a following.
Go.
And I was with somebody and like I didn't even realize I was doing it because I'm a guy and we're visual oriented creatures. But I looked at their boobs like a second too long. You know, I was like, oh, they're not real.
I'll give you a pass because tits are still tits, Ryan.
They're like not real. Well, I felt fake. I felt girls' boobs with breast implants. So to your point, this is what I'm saying, David. Like in the day and age where that we've lost monotony in terms of like, well, technically, it's this because of that. Like, look at where we're going here. Well, it's not really gay. This is a fucking problem. Men don't know what it means to be straight anymore. This is a problem. This is a fucking problem.
Did you ever see the Andrew Tate clip? Man, I forgot how he words it, but it's
the
like,
hottest tranny or the ugliest woman.
Yeah,
he's like, I would just move it out of the way.
And
you said the hottest woman. Yeah.
He's like, who's gay? Who's gay here?
Who's gay? Exactly.
He's like Hulk Hogan with a vagina.
Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell with a dick. Yeah, dude, I don't, and there's, this is all shit we're navigating and stuff, and I don't even care that they are the thing. It's just like, guys, protect yourself, man. Like literally, like you got to see her without her face on, literally. And for all I know, these surgeries are so good, she could just lie forever, and it really was a dude. Like this whole thing has been baked into it now. So more than anything, what's funny is actually the person that I was with, that we met, this person bumped into the trans person at another bar actually. And when I first met them, I was like, is that and it was like, I still, this is like the thing, Dave, I'm sure you've had this, that you like instinctively know, you're like, wait a minute. Like you're like, it's kind of how, have you seen the studies, how like humans, when they've done studies that they have like a person have a conversation. Yes.
I have to play this for if anyone hasn't seen this before. It's
hilarious.
It's fucking hilarious.
Would you rather have sex with a transsexual, which is a legitimate 10, or a woman, which is a legitimate 1? And everyone's sitting there clicking woman, because they think they're going to be gay if they do anything else, but they're not actually thinking about the question. I am so smart. I operate on so many levels higher than the average man. You people are not thinking about the question. When I say a 1 and a 10, I mean Megan Fox with a dick. That's a tranny. Or Hulk Hogan with a pussy. That's the girl. This is the question I'm asking. Megan Fox or Hulk Hogan? So you're thinking, well, I don't want to be gay, so I just clicked the girl, the number 1, did it? You're going to fuck Hulk Hogan? Okay, there's a pussy, but he's got mustache and muscles and shit. He's all hairy, big dude, 6'5". Pretty gay to me. That sounds pretty gay. I don't care if it's a pussy. That is gay. Whereas Megan Fox, okay, he's got a dick, but maybe you can like scoot it out the way.
It's probably my favorite Andrew Tate clip. It just makes me laugh every time.
My favorite Tristan Tate one is when he gets on there and just says N-word, N-word, Edward, faggot, 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 N-word, N-word, Edward, and gets up and leaves. Tate's national treasures. We got to keep them. Even if they are human traffickers, David, of course. Well, I have to wait for all of the facts. Oh, Ben Shapiro. Did the Jews that were gassed in the chambers of Auschwitz wait for Hitler to be like, I was just really wrong about you guys. I didn't have enough information on you.
Oh, we had to wait. Yeah,
before. We had to wait. They had to wait for the information. I don't know how that guy. I don't know how any Jew could think that they're gonna work in any organization to get something done. Like, dude, all of my people were killed. I'm not waiting. That training thing threw me off. I gotta level you.
I had to.
Look, I guess it is what it is. I don't know what to say. You don't judge anybody, but fucking protect yourself. Fucking, it's natural beauty. I actually heard this from Zuby, the guy. I heard him on a dating show. He said he actually thinks what's going to happen is men are actually going to go back to liking natural beauty. Like we're actually going to,
that's a win.
The girls that buy all the makeup and stuff, like it will actually not get the attention anymore because we don't know if you have a dick now.
That's
and then to go further,
one of the things I never really thought of.
And then to go further, we're going to get to a point that there's going to be so many women with dicks that we're just going to buy girl robot girlfriends, and then women are really obsolete. So, because you told me there's too many people, so why would I even get a girlfriend, David? So, whatever. Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73. Catch us on Rumble and X for the greatest podcast in all of human history. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time and everybody for tuning in. If you caught that Trump-Rogan interview, really appreciate you guys tuning in live for us there. If you did not see it, just go and see it. You don't got to watch our reaction. I don't care if you get it in shorts. It was such a monumental thing that happened, and we will not actually know the scope of it for at least 5 years. So, because here's the real question. If Trump wins, what's the first interview with Rogan while he's president going to look like? Because that's what I haven't seen. I actually haven't really thought about it till right now with all these politicians doing the circuits, Theo Vons and Impulsives and the Call Her Daddies and going on the Full Send podcast. With all these podcasts, this is for promotion of presidency, right, David? Now, what about retainer of presidency tours on podcasts? Because now they're selling the product. How are they going to get me to keep buying the product, David?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I don't know if they're thinking that way. I bet if Trump
they
wins,
want to win right now, obviously.
Sure. I think if Trump wins, he's not going back on Rogan.
Oh, I think you do. I agree.
I think you should. I don't think he will.
He's just not going to vet. Right. But this is what I'm saying. Like, they understood the value to get them. They got to prom with us. You better remember who brought you in the door. X saved America's election. Elon told you, right? Like, that's his thing, is like, I'm doing this to like promote free speech so we have more fair elections. We're getting them to the prom. They're not. You don't let them forget that.
Well,
Trump has to go back on these fucking runs. Trump has to go back on the very podcast that he was advertising in his political thing, he has to go back on Theo Von after he wins presidency. Kamala Harris has to go back on Call Her Dad after she wins presidency, because if the media can't be trusted with the task of handling the political sphere before an election, how can we trust them after the election while they're in presidency? Because remind you, elections never stop. The presidential election happens, but in another year, there's a mayor, there's a governor, there's a township, there's always election. There's hundreds of elections every year. They don't stop. So,
well, and all those people should be going on Rogan.
yes. So we got to keep like this, as monumental as this is getting them elected. What I want to see is the long-term sustainability of this apparatus, of that a sitting president sits down instead of a State of a Union, it's a State of Rogan. You know what I mean? Get back to the sphere that got you there, Trump. So I hope I can follow my sword. I can't wait to interview him personally, David, with you by my side, as always. Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73. Catch us on Rumble for the greatest podcast ever. I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
We got one weekly show before we do the election live stream, Ryan. Next Sunday is the 3rd, and then the 5th is election day.
David, you're voting election day, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm not
I didn't know if
overseas
you-
in a war, so I will be there in person.
Oh, what do you mean? Is that's the only way you can vote early, surely, right? There's not
Well, no, in Pennsylvania, they remember during the last election cycle, they illegally changed the voting laws, so you could basically vote whenever the fuck you wanted.
I believe in one election day. Anyways, yeah, so I can't wait for that, obviously. And yeah, real quick, Dave, Bills game was great today. The NFL's in fucking shambles. And my mom and I also discussed how we hate political ads on during football. So
I know we're closing up here. Did you see the ad during the football game for like, it was very quick. It probably wasn't even a 30-second ad, but the best thing I could take from it is it was a male stripper competition that's going to be on Fox. Like, I don't understand what's happening. Did you see this? You know what I'm referring to? Oh man, I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was basically naked dudes on Fox, and it was a competition show of some type. And I went, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that about?
we are clearly, Russell Brand put on Twitter, on X, that surely we are in the end of times. And I tend to agree with him now. So, I also came to a realization, Dave, and then I'll get the fuck out of here. The real value of art is not just to express yourself. The real value in art is so that you can express yourself and no one can say anything about it to change your mind. Because if I were to do something and have this same message and do it as a presentation, as a conversation, like we're having a conversation about my idea, it can get altered because the person can have an opinion or a thought or an experience or a different understanding. Or, oh, my mom, that looks like what my mom was talking about yesterday, right? Like that thing, right, Dave, in a conversation. But if I paint a picture or direct a movie or make a song, there's no interpretation. So I think I'm really realizing that the value in art is for the artist to actually be able to say what he wants to say in peace. So I think I'll always remember that when I look at the Mona Lisa or the Last Supper or Michelangelo or the Piety. Imagine Michelangelo made all that sculptures and all those paintings, and Leonardo did all these things just so that people would stop telling him how to paint pictures.
Was Michelangelo?
He's a sculptor.
My art history wasn't too good. Who did the ceilings of the Sistine Chapel in Rome?
I believe that is Michelangelo.
I thought so too. He was on his back for
The
like
Sistine
on like scalpels and shit for like 16 scaffolds for like 16 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. It was absurd. But
Yeah,
I was
Sistine
fortunate
Chapel,
enough to go when I was like 10 years old, and I saw it in person, and it was fucking incredible.
Yeah, imagine that, that guy had that bounce around in his head of like the ideal of God. And like, I wonder what people, if he were to take that image and boil it into words, maybe you can't do that, which is why you have to paint. I understand. Like, that's how we always view art. Like, oh, I can't express this with words, so I'm going to put it to the canvas. But I'm saying the opposite. Like, the only reason we put it to canvas is because when we try to use words, people just destroy it. It's like people can't handle something good unless it's in something that's undestroyable. People can't handle they can't handle it unless it's something so vast that they feel small in comparison. And you'll never achieve that with language. You'll never achieve that with words. Even a book won't do that, because a book will have a review. Yeah. What if he was making that because that he had that in his head and he was trying to express it to people? Like, bro, like, I'm telling you, like, they were just like right there. God almost touched our finger, bro. Like he just enough. Just enough. And if you look, dude, that looks like a brain, where God sits, right? That looks like the edge of the head. You see it? Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, it's like the right hemisphere, right hand of the Father. The logic side of your brain. Yeah, it's amazing. What if he really made that to be left the fuck alone because he was tired of people interpreting his dreams for him? Because he tried to share them. Like, I think a lot of these artists, they tried to share themselves. Hitler tried to become a painter before he was a tyrant. Right, David? He was just a better artist he was a better art at murder than he was of the canvas. People appreciated him more for his art of killing than they did and he was a beautiful painter. Look at that. Nazi sympathizer and a transgender hater all in the same episode, David. Amazing. Yeah, so next time I look at a great piece of art, I will always remember that the artist wasn't doing that for me. He was doing that selfishly, beautifully for himself so that he could finally better understand the way that he felt about himself. As always, Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us on Rumble for the greatest podcast to ever exist. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome in the comment section. I've destroyed my smoke alarm / carbon monoxide detector. So if I make it till next Sunday, who knows? We'll be live again.
Well, clearly, David, we won't be able to cover the news live because you'll have a forest fire inside your house that causes the water main break that fucks with your internet.
No. Butterfly effect. We didn't think of this.
No, that's it. That's it. Election's over.
That could happen. That could happen. We might have just swayed our own election.
Well, David, there is one thing we are good at, and that is interfering in foreign elections. So we might as well get good at interfering in ours. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, everyone.
Go Bills.